Islam, the cure. The negative effect of alcohol and drugs in our civilized society cannot be denied. The National Crime Victimization Survey reports that 28% of the victims of violence reported that their attacker was under the influence of alcohol alone or in combination with other drugs. 25% of jail inmates said that they were under the influence when they did their crime. Think of the countless incidents of senseless violence that could have been avoided had neither alcohol nor drugs been involved. Islam is the only world religion that addresses the evils of alcohol and drugs in its texts and removes any ambiguity as to the position of Islam on the issue. Not only does the Quran address the purpose of alcohol and drugs as a means of causing hatred between people, but also in the same verses condemn the destructive vice of gambling as well. No other man-made system has inspired almost 23% of the Earth's population to completely turn away from alcohol, drugs, and gambling. The economy of our world is changing so fast, one cannot keep pace with the fluctuations of whether we are in periods of growth or constriction. At present, the world economy is reeling and individuals, institutions, and even entire nations are being crippled by the weight of debt. Debt is a true measure of wealth. If the masses of the people are kept in insurmountable levels of debt, they are not a threat to those who control where wealth actually ends up. The economic systems employed by modern societies are designed to keep a large portion of the population in some form of debt by allowing them to use things that they cannot really afford, enriching the corporations who provide these products and stifling the growth and creativity of the purchaser with an ever-present amount owed. This system is further criminalized when one considers the fact that the lower the income of an individual or institution, the higher the rate of interest one has to pay. This system has been used by the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund to wreak havoc in the so-called developing nations by loaning large sums of money to nations that cannot possibly pay it back, forcing these nations to relinquish control of its own natural and human resources. Allah, in the Quran, speaks directly to the evils of this institution and provides mankind with the solution. Acts of kindness with regards to the debtor is a command from Allah, and the manners of how to justly deal with one who is in debt is given by Allah. The only result of an economic system that relies on the debt of others is wealth for some and poverty for most. Islam forbids the hoarding of wealth and demands that those who have wealth give to those who are poor in order to purify it. The zakat system in Islam is a fundamental principle of worship. It is required of every Muslim who is able to give the zakat. Under the current banking laws and regulations, the poor who cannot pay are punished further with interest rate increases, late fees, etc. Islam is a mercy to man as it has come to eradicate these forms of oppression. Today, 42 million people are said to be living with AIDS, and in 2002 alone, more than 5 million people contracted the virus. As a barometer of the current morals in our technologically advanced yet morally backward society, consider that in 1970 there were only 2 known sexually transmitted diseases. Approximately 15 million people contract an STD every year, and there are over 65 million people just in the U.S. Islam is the only system of living that has within it regulations that hinder the prevalence of the type of behavior that cause these vile conditions. Islam demands that the chastity of the man and the woman in society be guarded meticulously. There are several layers of this profound system that, if implemented, prevents the situations that our current societies find themselves in. Allah says, in any society where sexual promiscuity increasingly becomes the norm, the fabric of the society, the family, is gradually destroyed. We need a system of morality higher than what man can produce. Islam has come to free us from the dangers of racism. Allah tells us in the Quran that it is righteousness that distinguishes one from another and not the appearance or tribe. Islam is a program for life. Islam is designed by Allah for us to practice in order to purge the evils from ourselves. To be a good Muslim, one has to be prepared to work. Islam requires discipline and self-restraint. Islam is a lifestyle of praying and begging to Allah in the middle of the night when others are asleep. Islam requires one to fast to develop the strength to endure the calls of hunger and the lower desires and to be able to resist unlawful temptations. Islam is a lifestyle of acquiring knowledge. There are so many aspects of Islam that one can spend his or her entire life learning different things in Islam. The Muslim has to have a thirst for knowledge of this religion, because in the knowledge of Islam comes the proper understanding and implementation. Islam requires courage in the face of opposition and ridicule. What I have given is a brief summary of some of the benefits of Islam and how Islam brings about true change in this society, starting with the individual and moving beyond to the world. If you have been searching for answers to the above-mentioned problems as well as others, I encourage you to take a serious look at Islam.